Hello, my name is Mr. Miller, and I'm the school counseling director here at Perry Meridian High School. I wanted to take a few minutes today to explain how you graduate from high school. If you've gotten to this video, you're probably in the EMA's process of scheduling, so thank you for going and checking this out and trying to figure this all out. You've probably stopped here because you're not really sure what you need to do in order to graduate. Some of you that had PCC last year first semester learned about a lot of this information. Second semester students, we didn't quite complete all the program we had anticipated based on COVID, of course. And so I want everybody to have the same information, and this also is in place of the parent meeting. So this is for students who are currently sophomores who are graduating in the class of 2023. Your graduation requirements are actually changing. So if you have an older brother or sister, friend, cousin, etc., that is going to graduate, this year or next year, or has graduated in the past, their requirements are actually different. So it's important that you kind of pay attention to this and understand all the changes the state has made. First up, I'd like to talk about how I put this into more simpler terms. Basically, you have to complete something from each box 1, 2, and 3. As long as you do that in all three boxes, you're good. The positive news is that the I-STEP test has gone away, so students no longer have to pass the graduation exam, the high stakes test of the I-STEP. And we'll talk through some of those differences here in a few minutes. So everybody has to get a diploma. This has not changed, or the box 1 is really not changed from any other year, any other graduating class. We know that there are 3 diplomas, the Core 40 with technical honors, and the Core 40 with academic honors. When we use some words and terms today, just so we're all on the same page, a credit, 1 credit is awarded for each class you pass with a D- or above each semester. Required classes are classes you have to take in order to graduate. If you don't take those classes, or if you fail those classes, you'll have to retake them. And then elective classes are classes you get to choose or pick to take. Here's a chart. I'm actually going to turn off my camera so you can see this complete chart. Core 40 with technical honors, and Core 40 with academic honors. Those are the 3 diplomas. How many credits do we need to graduate? Minimum 40 credits. So if you get 10 credits every year, you should be on track for graduation. Technical honors, you need 47 credits, and the academic honors, you need 47 credits as well. So let's first take a look at the English area. English is required, regardless of whether we like to take it or not. 4 years is required, so that means we need to have 8 credits of English in order to graduate. So if you took English 9A, you got 1 credit. English 9B, you got 1 credit. And you should be in English 10A right now. So by the end of your sophomore year, you should have half of your English requirement met. So you should have 4 credits. If you're behind or you failed a required English class, you could always take that through our Indiana Online Academy this summer and possibly talk to your counselor about some other ways to earn back those credits. Or we can also build that into your schedule for next year. So regardless of the diploma, you need 4 years of English. For math, you need a minimum of 3 years. So you need Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2. So many of you were in Algebra 1 last year, you're in Geometry this year, and you'll proceed to Algebra 2 as a junior when you do your schedule. If you're getting your honors diploma, you have to take a 4th year of math, and we have many options for that. And depending on what grades you're getting and what classes you're in now, obviously that trajectory could change based on your skill level, your performance, and what you need. But we do have a lot of options for the 4th year of math. Many of you obviously take more than 4 years, but that's the minimum. If you look at the science area across there, 3 years no matter what diploma. So that would be 6 credits. Everybody has to take biology. You probably all took that last year. And then this year, you're probably in ICP, physics, or chemistry. If you haven't taken one of those sciences yet, you need to. There may be a few of you that are in earth science right now, and if you are, that's okay. But you have to make sure you take a physical or a chemical science for your next year. So if you took biology, you're in chemistry now. Next year, you have to take an additional science or ICP, of course, and there are lots of choices for that. World language or foreign language, we get a lot of questions about this. Just to clarify, world language is only required for the honors diploma. And if you're trying to get your honors diploma, you have to have 2 years of the two different languages or 3 years of the same. So if I take Spanish 1, 2, and 3, I'm good. Let's say I was in French 1 last year, I'm in French 2 now, and I'm thinking, I'm not ready to move on to French 3. You could switch languages to Spanish, but you would have to take 2 additional years of Spanish to meet that 8 credit or 2 and 2 requirement for the academic honors diploma. Now, if you're not getting an honors diploma, but you're planning on applying to a 4-year college, we still recommend that you take 2 years of the same language. Most colleges want to see that on a high school transcript. However, depending on the college which you want to pursue, there could be some exceptions to that. Fine arts is only required for students that are planning to get an honors diploma. Fine arts are generally in the music and art department. We do have the theater arts in the English department, and those would count as well. If you took choir for 1 year, you're good because you got your 2 credits. If you're not a music person and you took 2-dimensional art for 1 semester and you took piano for 1 semester or the acting class for 1 semester, that would meet for your fine arts. If you're in early college, those fine art requirements are already built in through art appreciation and the music appreciation that you will be taking throughout. So again, final requirement, 40 credits minimum. The other 2 diplomas, 47. You do have to take the quantitative reasoning or a math course all years of high school. Now, we recommend that you take 4 years of math. That is technically not required because we know the Core 40 requires 3 years of math. And so if you're not taking a math your senior year, any of these courses that I'm listing here would qualify for a quantitative reasoning course. All of this information I'm talking about today is in the curriculum guide. You can find that through our Perry website through For Students. It's under counseling, scheduling, and then there's a curriculum guide that you can click on and review a very detailed report of how to do this. There'll be other links and navigational tools within this presentation as well to keep you on track. Here's another way that's presented for the requirements for graduation. This is the state form. So I've gone through most of this. I do want to highlight a few things on the right-hand side where it says Core 40 with academic honors. Core classes have to be a C- or higher. Your final GPA for all 4 years has to be a B or higher. And then you would have to do 2 additional advanced courseworks. Those would be through early college possibly in a dual credit class. We do have some other dual credit options. And then AP coursework would fit that requirement as well. So if you did 2 AP or 2 dual credit, we'd be good. 1 AP, 1 dual credit. So we're looking at possibly adding a couple of dual credit options for students for your class specifically starting your senior year. We just have not figured out which ones we want to add. So stay tuned for that exciting news. Technical Honors Diploma. If you're going to go to Central 9 Career Center and you complete a 2-year program there, that generally is going to meet the requirements for that if you have C- or higher in all the core classes and you have a final GPA of a B average. So box number 1, you get a diploma. That it has not changed. So box number 1 in diploma has not changed. Now box number 2, learn and demonstrate employability skills. That's a little bit different and that's new, and we're going to talk through what those options could be. If you work during high school, if you have a job where you get a paycheck and we can track those hours, we have a form you can complete to confirm that you have been out in the workplace, you're learning skills. It doesn't have to be necessarily in an area you're going to pursue as a career. It could be at any location as long as you have worked at some point during high school. So that could meet box number 2. Some of you don't work, right? So that's maybe not an option. Some of you are very busy in extracurriculars and athletics, and so that's another way you can meet that requirement. If you participate in a sports season for one season, as I just said, then that could meet the requirement. That could have been your freshman year cross country, and you haven't done anything since. You've technically met the box 2. If you participate and are active in an extracurricular for an entire year at any point in high school, that could meet the requirement. Now, some of you, and part of this is due to COVID, right? You're not going to maybe work or be in athletics or be in extracurriculars because there aren't as many choices now. We currently have a project in U.S. government which is required for all seniors where they take mock Congress. If you do some things with that, that could meet the requirement. Also, if you complete any of the following classes throughout high school, that would meet the requirement for box number 2. And then that last one is a special project determined senior year, and that would be for students who haven't met any of those box 2 requirements for the employability skill piece. So there's lots of ways to get that. That can be done at any point during high school. And when you get a little bit older, we'll start having some documentation that you'll need to complete to prove that you've done that portion. Box number 3 is brand new, and there's a lot of things in box 3. In fact, this is probably one of the most confusing areas. So I'm going to go through the things that you need to complete. And remember, it's one of these many things that you need to complete in order to earn your box 3 requirement to get your diploma. First up, if you're on track to get your academic honors diploma and you are successful for that, then you would meet the box 3 requirement and have nothing else left to do. If you do the technical honors diploma and meet that requirement, you're good to go. If you take the ACT, which is a standardized test, that's a test that many colleges and universities use to determine admission or help to determine admission, and you get a certain score on that test, then you would be able to get that. Again, that's moving more toward a standardized exam, so that may or may not be an option for some students, but that is one of the choices that the state lays out. The SAT is more of a math and kind of a language English portion test that you would take. Typically, you would have taken the PSAT in October, but because of COVID, we did not do that this year. Next year, you will all be taking the PSAT in October to kind of give you a benchmark of where your score would land. And if you think you can get those scores, those are decent scores, then that would count as well. The SAT is about a 3-hour test. You get a score range of 1,600 would be the highest. The average score is a 1060, just kind of give you some parameters there. Another test you can take and pass would be the ASVAB. This is generally a test that students take if they're going into the military. The minimum score you would have to get on that test is a 31. Now, some of you may not go into the military, but if you take the ASVAB and get a 31 or higher, you're good. For the past number of years, we have offered that test to seniors, and that could be used as a pathway potential. We're looking at the possibility of administering the ASVAB next year for you as a junior, probably in the spring. We haven't finalized that, though. We also have something that could meet the requirement through industry certifications. And quite frankly, most of those would be through the Central 9 program. And if you meet one of those Central 9 certification programs, getting certified in something through mechanics or computers or different things, that could meet your requirement for box number 3. We also have something called CTE concentrators. Those would be a certain sequence of classes that you take. And we have those in different areas. here in the building. Many of those are actually Central 9 classes, but we do have a few pathways here. Project Lead the Way, some of the courses there would meet that requirement. We have a few pathways as well, which I'm going to talk through in a few minutes. If you get at least 3 AP or dual credit classes in certain areas, that could meet the requirement. You have to get C's or higher in those. Locally created pathways, we do have a civic arts pathway for the arts-minded students that could meet that requirement as well. More specifically, if you're in band, choir, and orchestra and you move to the advanced levels of those groups at some point during high school, and you take Intro to Business or Education Professions, those would be additional ways to meet Box 3 for the post-secondary ready competency. So basically the state is saying post-secondary, so what are you going to do after you graduate? What skill level do you need to do that? So the thinking behind the civic arts, fine arts pathways would be, if I'm really into music, maybe I'm going to become a musician and work on my own and so forth. So that's why Intro to Business would be a class you'd want to take in that sequence. Or maybe I want to be a music teacher. And so Ed Professions is really the cadet teaching, we used to call it. And that's where students would go to a grade school and work with students. And a lot of times students want to go back to the grade schools they attended if they were in Perry Township. We also have the pathway for the theater arts. If you make it through advanced theater arts or advanced acting, that would be an easier way to move through the sequence for that. And again, the Intro to Business, Ed Professions, the same. We also have those that are art gifted, I guess you could say, or gifted in the arts for the different areas. As long as you push through and make it to the AP level of art your senior year, and you take those sequence of classes. All right, so how do I graduate? Box number 1, I need to get a diploma. All those are the credits, minimum of 40, employability skills. If I work, if I do a sport, if I'm in an extracurricular, that meets it. There's also a list of a few classes you have to take at some point in high school if you can't meet it through those other ways. Mock Congress is done in government senior year. If we continue doing that, then that would meet a requirement. Or if all else fails, we've got a special project that you can do to meet the Box 2 requirement. And then Box 3, the post-secondary ready competencies. Lots of choices in that area, and that's probably one of the more confusing ones. You can always ask clarifying questions to your counselor when you meet with them. But if you go to Central 9 and you're in a 2-year program, that takes care of it. An honors diploma takes care of that. Most students in our early college, that takes care of it through the dual credit requirement, even if you're not getting an honors diploma. We do have some sequencing of classes here that would meet that requirement. And so there's kind of a lot there, but that's another thing that your counselor helps track you with and talk you through in regards to that. So I want to thank you for listening. I know this was a little bit long. I did not mean it to be so long, but there's a lot of stuff to talk through. If you are confused or have questions about anything, feel free to email me or reach out back to me with a phone call, no problem, or you can contact your counselor directly. So thanks for trying to schedule within the means of this. We tried to think of something creative for this. So you're probably going to go back and work through the classes that you'll need to take, the 1 through 14 paper. Class of 23, you're going to probably watch a video with Mrs. Morrow, who's going to really talk you through a lot of those details. So thanks for listening. This was kind of an overview of all of the graduation requirements.